parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do on Boston Harbor in our view. Politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All-American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects. Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America and podcast, Somerville Connects. Today, we have, once again, a returning guest, Dawn Brown. Welcome, Dawn Brown.
Thank you.
So, Dawn, you are author of The Morphine Dream, which is a fabulous book, and we're going to kind of like dive into parts of that. But one of the things that you have to offer people is how to start your life. You've been given many opportunities in this lifetime. And so I want you to take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how we can jumpstart our life. And I'm going to ask you a ton of questions.
Well, I just want to start with, the pandemic has made a terrible time for a lot of people. And a lot of people, especially in our area, in the greater Boston area, are without work permanently. And it's very strange to find yourself in that position. But that's what's going on. Probably scores of thousands of people are out of work permanently. And, it's necessary to use the time that you're idle to make a better life for yourself, to jumpstart your life. And I had to do it years ago. I was working in a factory when I had no high school education, and I was catastrophically injured on the job, and I had to fashion a different life for myself. And that was a life that included education because I didn't have any.
And if you don't mind me saying, because a lot of our viewers and listeners, how did you injure yourself on your job? If you don't mind repeating that story again briefly.
I was injured in an accident where a fork truck was driving close to me, and I jumped to get out of the way, and my foot was caught under a many thousand pound casting, and my knee stayed where it was, and my body went like 10 feet away. So my knee got shredded, and I had a lot of surgery, and I was unable to walk for a long time. But I started community college, then I transferred to a really good liberal arts college, the best one in the country. And then I wound up going to Harvard Law School, and it changed my life forever. It put me in a whole different category in terms of what my future would be.
But Dawn, a lot of people, when they go through situations and problems, they go through a period where they're sad, depressed, angry. And I know you probably have felt some of those things. How did you overcome those obstacles? Because one doesn't just end up with, let's say, a certain type of handicap. We all have handicaps. Yours was more visible. From going from that to Harvard Law School, what happened in between that gave you the, as we would say in Italian, the coraggio, the momentum to get to Harvard Law School? Take us a little bit on that journey, because you had a lot of hardships.
I did, and but if you're gonna have to have a different life to live out your life, you better do something about it. You can't stay, throttled by depression or bad feelings or anger. You have to just take steps forward. And if you can realize that you must take steps forward, I think you're able to accomplish it. And of course, there's a lot of people out there today who don't know what their next step is. And it's it's clear that a lot of people are going to be idle for a long time. So because of the long time that's facing these people, well, they might as well start to get an education and start to build something for themselves. And most of the people who are permanently unemployed are people that are not very well educated. And education is a key to being able to create a new future for yourself.
But how does one find out what their passion is? How do they go from step A to step Z? Is there a certain, did you know that you wanted to go to Harvard? I mean, how does one get to that point? Because a lot of people are searching for answers today. People are searching, what do I do? How do I change with this pandemic? Where's my life going? How am I going to support my family? People are concerned. So, how do they find where they have to go?
Well, that's exactly the problem. People have to find some place to go. And I think within us all, we have a burning desire to do something special in your life. And it's not often what we're forced to do in our work. For example, I was working in a factory. That wasn't the greatest job in the world. In fact, it was probably the worst job I ever had. And I needed to change that. And I always thought about being a lawyer. And I thought, what better way to challenge myself than to shoot for the top of the pile, And so I wasn't just going to go to law school. I was going to go to Harvard Law School. And I wound up being able to do it because I worked hard and I focused. And, I went from community college and got accepted into a transfer program at Amherst College. And from Amherst College, you can pretty much go anywhere you want to go. So I was able to go to Harvard Law School. And it's all a result of focusing myself on a new life. And that's what's required of people today. When I wrote my book, I wrote the recipe of how to do this.
Which is the Morphine Dream. That is the name
Yes.
of your book.
Yes.
It's a guide for people to, it's a guide for people to take to jumpstart their life, that they can do.
Yes.
It's a guide for people that they could do whatever they want their dreams to be.
Yes. And the sad thing is that many people don't realize that they have it within their own self to do whatever they want to do. And you can literally do whatever you want to do. And when I said to my doctor, I'm going to go to Harvard Law School and walk across the country, he thought I was so out of it. He said to the nurse, I don't know what you're talking about. But he thinks he's going to Harvard Law School, and he's certainly nuts. So we have to figure out what he's on and stop him from taking it.
So how did you go from factory worker to Harvard Law student? What was your map it out for us?
Go to community college, take the best courses you can find with the hardest professors you can find. And after you complete a year of 10 courses with all A's, you can get into most of the best colleges in the country. And the advantage to go into the best colleges in the country is they are need blind. And need blind means they literally pay you to go to school. You don't have to pay anything. They pay for your tuition. And
Okay. How does that work out? Because everybody's thinking, geez, I want to go to school for free. Uh, so take us on a little, map it out. How do people go to school for free?
I went to school for free, so I'm qualified to speak on the subject. When I got into Amherst College, they invited me to come in and do a financial aid interview. And they told me they were going to give me room and board and $70,000 a year, 35,000 on the 1st of September and 35,000 on the 1st of January. And I said, what's this all about? And she said, well, we're need blind. We're trying to meet your need. And so that's how we're going to meet your need. And interestingly enough, I had $12,000 in scholarships in my pocket, the checks made out to Amherst College. And I said to her, well, this is my part of it. And she said, oh, no, you can keep that. We don't need it.
So were you able to cash those checks?
I was.
And, okay, that's great.
And they literally paid me to go to school, not because they wanted to pay me, but because that was my need. I was married and had a family and so forth, and I had enormous expenses, and they figured it all out, and they just gave it to me.
So if somebody has a need, they'll say, well, I need to go to college.
That's all you have to do, but you have to get all A's at community college.
Okay.
You have to take hard courses, and you have to get all A's. And the difference between getting A's and B's and C's is a big deal, because a place like Amherst College, or the best colleges in the country who are need blind, they don't look at anything other than A's. So if you have 5 B's and 5 A's, they don't look at the 5 B's.
Really?
They only look at the A's.
Why is that?
Because if you're an A student, you're something that they want. They don't want B students. And a lot of people don't realize what grades mean. When you're trying to step up to pre-college, grades mean everything. And A's count, B's don't. Because what do B's say? B's say, well, maybe you did good, or maybe you didn't do good, but we're giving you a B anyway. And what does C mean? C in today's world means you flunked. They don't give D's and F's. They don't do that anymore, especially in college. They always give C's or B's or A's. And
Dawn, I never thought about it like this, but you're saying if you don't work your butt off, do the best you can, go for the hardest courses, get your A's, you have your foot in the door. If you don't, forget about it.
Well, forget about it, except that you can go to a lot of other places, but those other places don't pay your tuition and room and board and expenses. And that's why it's so special. And many of those higher ranked colleges have a program that's designed to bring transfer students from community colleges who do extraordinarily well in community colleges. And in Amherst's case, it was about being a veteran and a community college student who did well. And I took 2 years worth of courses. I took 20 courses, but only 10 of them were accepted at Amherst College, because they don't accept things, nonsense things that you don't have to be in college to study, like remedial math or remedial English or marketing or personnel management, stuff like that. They don't accept those courses. They only accept courses when you've studied something that they teach and that you've done really, really well.
Okay, you just said something very interesting. You said that if you want to get into another university that continues for community college, it's got to be a course that the university teaches and that
Right.
you're excelling at. Okay, because not all universities teach the same courses.
Well, it's not university that you're going to, it's colleges. You know, when you go from a community college, you can go to a 4-year college, after your first year. So it's a college. If you go to Harvard or if you go to Dartmouth or Williams or Amherst, you're going to a college. You're not going to Harvard University
So
if you go to Harvard University.
I'm confused. What's the difference between a college and a university? Aren't they one and the same?
No, university is a place where they teach graduate education, all kinds of
Oh,
graduate education.
I
A
think
college is 4 years, a bachelor's degree.
I think I have to go back to college to learn that.
So if you go to Harvard, you go to Harvard College. You don't go to Harvard University.
Only if you're taking a graduate course, then you could say you're going
Only
to.
if you're a graduate course.
This is why you got the A's, Dawn.
No, I got the A's because I worked hard. And at the end of community college, they wrote an article about me in the paper and said that I was a genius. And I was insulted because I wasn't a genius. I just worked hard. That's all. I worked 20 hours a day to get all A's in community college. And then when I went to Amherst, I worked 20 hours a day to get a record that would propel me to Harvard Law School. And when I got into Harvard Law School, I was able to finally take it a little bit easier
So,
because I didn't have to get A's anymore.
do you find that students today take their education as serious as you have taken it?
No, most people, when they go to college, are 18 to 22. And, they're at college for a lot of other reasons. They're not there to change their life. They're there to party and to date and to go to fraternity parties and all kinds of things, and go to football games and basketball games. And they don't pay as much attention to their studies as older transfer students do, because older transfer students want to make the next step. And it's important what you do at Amherst College, for example, to be working hard so you can take the next step. But then again, the students at Amherst College are so gifted and bright that they don't have to do much at all to be able to survive and get by. And they get things like a gentleman's C. What do you think a gentleman's C is?
I don't know, but you're going to tell us.
It's flunking.
Right. Oh,
I mean, you
okay.
didn't do much at all. And, so when you're somebody who goes through college getting gentleman's C's, that's not what I'm trying to accomplish with teaching people the recipe. The recipe is work really hard, focus really hard, and drop all other things. I didn't go to parties. I didn't play my music loud, for 12 hours a day. I didn't spend my time in the cafeteria overloading on food, even though it looks like I did. But, I spent my time studying, working in the library, working on the computer room at the college. Those were the days when you didn't have computers in your room. You had to go to a computer room in the college to work. And so that's how you get a really good education. Stay focused, cut out other things, don't get distracted, and pay attention to your work, because it makes a difference when you want to take the next step.
So, Dawn, how old were you when you were in college?
I was 38 to 41, and I
So,
graduated from college at 41.
do you think if you went to college earlier, you would have taken it as serious as you did?
I don't think so,
So,
because I had the motivation, because I needed to find the next step. The next step was
oh,
Harvard Law School, and then the next step after that, of course, was to be working as a lawyer, as a professor, whatever things I did. It was because getting the education changed my life, and getting the education at the right schools does more about changing your life than anything else does.
Dawn, you could be on to something here. Maybe students are going to college too early because it's kind of like they're wasting a lot of their time with partying, dating, drugs, booze, sports. Because you were in a certain mindset, a little older, not too old, but a little older, you were able to achieve more.
I believe that's true. Um, and, there's a lot of typical students of the typical age that do very well, but they all are distracted. And I didn't see anybody when I was in college that was paying full attention to their studies.
Barack Obama, you went to school with Barack Obama. Was he paying attention?
He was more or less lackadaisical like I was, but he was extremely bright. And so it is a big thing for older students. And older students are typically the best students in any college or any law school or any community college, because they're motivated to take the next step.
Okay, so back on our topic, which is jumpstart your life. So you encourage folks to go to a community college and get A's. B's and C's are not acceptable.
That's correct.
And
You want to
then,
know the recipe? The
yes,
recipe is A's, and it's across the board A's. And there's no excuse for not getting A's if you want to go to college free.
if you want to go to college free, you need to get A's. That's
Yeah,
just it. There's no other way to do it.
and for most people, it's very possible.
So you have someone that comes from a very wealthy family and they said, "Oh geez, I want to go to college for free," but they can afford it. Will the college still let them in for free, or the college will say, "No, you can
Oh,
afford it. We're not going to let you in. We're only going to let in the people that can't afford it." How does that all play out?
well, every year there's probably 10,000 people that apply to Amherst College, and almost all of them don't get in, and they're all good students. So, it's a numbers game. If you're a typical age student and you go to Wellesley High School or Weston High School or whatever, a really good high school or a private school, and you get really good grades and you do all kinds of extracurricular activities, that doesn't mean you're getting in. But if you're an older student and you do very well, you will get in. And it's across the board.
Okay. So somebody does really well. Can they pick any college that they want to go to, or
Yeah.
any
And when I
college?
when I graduated from community college, there were probably 15 older students around me who went to the best colleges in this country: Williams, Smith, Wellesley, Amherst. I had two classmates go to Amherst at the same time I did, and Wesleyan and places like that are need blind, and that's the key. You can go to any need blind school you want to go to and get in for nothing, because they have money to give scholarships to students.
Is there a limit on the money that these colleges have to give to students, or is it just endless?
I think there's a limit, but I don't think they ever reach it. I think they have plenty of money to do it. But, it's not for the children of the wealthy. And I'm not trying to talk to the children of the wealthy. I'm trying to talk to the people that are out of work permanently because their jobs have gone away. And that's mostly in the service industry. If you're a restaurant worker, you're not going to go back to work, most of them, because the restaurants have closed permanently. And so I'm speaking to a lesser stature person, no wealth. And if your need is everything, then they give it to you. They're not going to give it to you if your parents have millions of dollars. They're not going to give it to anybody who doesn't need it.
How does a person find what how does a person find their passion or what they want to study? How do they go about? Is it something that you just wake up and you say, geez, I want to do this? Or do you encourage people to dive into studying certain courses or doing certain things? How does a person get to that point where they find out where they want to go? Like, for instance, you knew that you wanted to be a lawyer. What led you to that point? You're a factory worker. How did you go from factory worker to wanting to go to law school?
Well, I was a factory worker who got hurt badly, and I started to go to community college part-time nights when I was in a wheelchair. And one night I went in the library and I was looking for books on workers' compensation so I could figure out how to deal with things from a workers' compensation perspective. And I found a book in the library that was titled Your Rights as an Injured Worker in Massachusetts. And that's how I developed my need or want to be a lawyer, because I wanted to represent catastrophically injured people, because I was one of those. And they treated the company, and the insurance company treated me very badly. And I recognized it, and it caused a divorce. It caused all kinds of family problems. It caused me to become ostracized in the community I lived in, because I lived in a town where there was only one employer, and that employer didn't like it when people got hurt on the job. So they made my life miserable. And once I picked up that book, I started to realize that the rights that I had as an injured worker. And over the course of 2 or 3 years, I figured out how to prosecute my case, and I got a good lawyer and so forth. And at the beginning, I had the feeling that if I can just get a good education and can turn around and do something in my life, now that I'm relegated to a real wheelchair, I was focused on the piece of getting an education so I could do something different, because I didn't want to be idle, and I didn't want to be on comp for the rest of my life, and I didn't want to depend on other people for my income and so forth. So I did a lot to pursue that passion of wanting to help people who were injured in workers' comp accidents. And
So
that's
Dawn,
a
so
lot of
Dawn,
what I did.
so Dawn, you had that aha moment, because this is huge. This is a pivotal point in your life. You took something where you were handed lemons and you made lemonade, but while you were trying to help yourself and study about workman's comp, you had that moment and you said, you were intrigued when you started reading about workman's comp. You said, not only can you help yourself, but you can help others. Is that true?
Yeah, I know that book backwards and forwards. and that's what supplied the motivation and the passion. And I think it's incumbent in every person that they have motivation and passion to do something different than they're doing. And you only have to watch television to figure out there's something different in the world for you. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are stuck in their lives and have the aha moment by just searching themselves. It's inside. Did you want to be a doctor when you were young, or did you want to be a lawyer, or did you want to be a teacher, or did you want to be an accountant? I don't care what you want to be. You can do it. You absolutely can do it. And the best place to do it is starting at community college, because it's cheap and they're used to helping people find themselves. That's how community college was described to me when I had this morphine dream that I wanted to go to Harvard Law School. I had a professor who lived next to me in my neighborhood, and he said, I got a call from a community college early in the morning, and they said, you can have a free course at Mount Wachusett Community College. And this friend of mine, the professor, came over later that morning, and he said, I said to him, I got a call from a community college offering me a free course. And he said, hell, that's a place for you to go. I said, what do you think? Why do you think that's a place for me to go? He said, well, that's a place where you start out getting an education and you can prove yourself and you can go anywhere from there. And I kind of thought that was interesting. And then that night he took me to the community college, and I didn't have any money. And they said, how will you be paying for the 3 courses? And I said, well, I don't have any money, so I guess I'm not going to sign up for 3 courses. And they said, wait a minute, we'll just see what we can do to help you. And they came back to tell me that if you would register as Donna Brown, we have money to help women returning to college.
Okay. This gets very interesting because you are Don Brown, a man,
Yeah.
not Donna Brown. How does this all play out?
Well, I started college as Donna Brown. I registered as Donna Brown. And when I went to the bookstore and they asked me what the name was on the account, and I said Donna Brown, they kind of gave me a funny look. But today they wouldn't be allowed to do that. But I went through my first semester of college as Donna Brown, so I didn't have to pay anything. And then by the end of the semester,
Why couldn't you use your real name? And I'm sorry I cut you off.
Because it was scholarships for women.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay.
So by the end of the semester, the woman had said to me, you're gonna have to take care of the next semester though. So by the end of the semester, I had help in line to help me pay for college loans and Pell Grants and stuff like that. So, I went through community college, which is cheaper, much cheaper. And there's no, room and board and so forth. So the tuition is much cheaper, and I managed to get through community college. But when I needed to go on to school to Amherst, I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. And the transfer counselor told me, well, don't worry about it. They'll pay you to go. And I couldn't believe what she was saying. And when I finally went to Amherst College and they said, oh, we're going to pay you room and board, we're going to pay you room and board, and we're going to give you $70,000 a year for expenses. I said to her, what are you, smoking dope? Because I thought she was flipped out, but she said it was true.
Right.
And it turned out to be true. So I went all the way through Amherst without taking a penny out of my own pocket. They provided everything I needed, and computers and when I needed to be carted around the campus, and when I needed to get around the campus in the winter in a wheelchair, they sent a truck before I would leave my dormitory to sand the walks all the way to the dining hall and to my classes, because they just take care of everything you need, and it's unbelievable.
Now,
And
did this happen for you because you were in a wheelchair? Did that make you an exceptional student? Did they, because they
that
have a certain criteria for having so many handicapped people, or is it just that they had the funds to provide you?
they
Uh,
had the funds to provide to veterans who were good students. In fact,
Veterans.
the
Vet.
fact that I was in a wheelchair made them eligible for grants to make their campus accessible. And they
Okay.
spent $2 million in grant money to make the campus accessible for me, because I was the first student they ever had in a wheelchair.
Wow.
So, there was at one point in my first semester, getting towards winter, and they asked me to come to the registrar's office, and he said, "What room is easiest for you to get into?" And I said, "Chapin 17." And he said, "Well, we're going to change all your classes to Chapin 17." And I said, "Wait a minute, that means you're going to change the whole schedule of this college to accommodate me? I don't want you to do that." And they said, "Well, we're going to do it." And they did it. And they made that room my classroom for that first year. And it was because it was just easier for me to get into.
Dawn, this doesn't, well, it was easier for the college. They didn't have to make changes to all the other places. They figured instead of changing everything else, it would have been an economical thing. They had everyone come to you.
Well, they changed a lot in my time there. And they got a grant from the Arthritis Foundation to do that. And it just lays out the fact that they don't ever stop thinking about what you need. And that's the way with a lot of colleges. Now, most of my friends who were a transfer student at Amherst, or my friends who were transferred to Williams or Smith or Wellesley, they weren't handicapped, and they still got the same thing. They
Do
got
you,
the free ride.
do you know a lot of people today, young people today, that are getting the same opportunities as you got?
When I was teaching at Mass Bay Community College, I took under my wing several students that were, Amherst quality students, and most of them got into a really good school. Whether they applied to Amherst or not, they got into really good schools.
Did they get into
Well,
school because you helped them, or they did this
because
on their
I
own?
because I told them what they had to do. Take 10 really good courses and get all A's, and the world is open for you.
So
And I
this is the recipe.
yeah, and I had a
Take 10
professor.
courses, go to community college, take 10 really good courses, get all
All
A's,
A's, and you can go anywhere you want.
any way
And
you want.
it was first told to me by a history professor that I had at Mount Wachusett Community College at the end of my first year, when I got all A's in my 2 history courses from him. He said, you could probably get into Georgetown. So I went to Georgetown, and I looked into going there. And a few weeks later, Amherst reached out to me because I was doing so well in community college, and they asked me to apply, and so I did. And when I did, the woman asked me after an hour of an interview, she said, "Where else have you applied?" And I said, "Nowhere else. I'm coming here." She said, "No, you're not guaranteed to come here, so you better pick someplace else to go to." And I said, "No, I'm coming here. And if I don't come this year, I'm coming next year, because I'm coming here." Because I was so thrilled with the the campus and the education level and so forth.
Okay, Dawn, you have something that a lot of people don't have. You have drive, you have passion, you're persistent. You said, I'm coming here. That's it. You have focus. So the question is, how do you teach people to have passion and focus? Or is it you either have it or you don't?
Well, I think it's something that you can develop. I didn't always have it. I developed it at that period of time.
How did you develop it?
Because somebody told me I had a good mind and I could go to college and do anything I wanted to do. A doctor told me that, professors told me that, retired professors. And I got encouraged by the fact that why did people say things to me like you have a good mind? That was my orthopedic surgeon who said that to me. And, he's been in my life since I was an athlete when I was 17 or 18 years old. So it meant something to me that he said that to me. And then, of course, for example, when I got into Amherst College, there was a person who stood up for me to get into Amherst College at Amherst. She was an admissions person. And I would never let her down because she went to bat for me to be admitted to Amherst College, and I would never let her down. And so I think it's ourselves can do it to us. And we all have this passion to be something. Whether you've ever done it or not doesn't matter. If it resides within you, it's there and it's something you can do. Now, there's probably some things you can't do in this world, like be an NBA player or be a baseball player or be a rock musician that's famous and makes it big. But you certainly can get an education. And I believe all people have a brain, and it's just about working on your brain.
Dawn, you're saying something really important here. You were given encouragement. You recognized that someone noticed your potential. You were given many different opportunities, but you had the wherewithal to recognize them. So I guess the message also here is pay attention to maybe what others are saying about you and what lights up for you. You had an aha moment when you started studying about workman's comp. Your orthopedic surgeon noticed your mind and you was taken back. And again, you're paying attention. You're aware of what people are saying to you. Because a lot of people are not paying attention. They're sleepwalking. If you're sleepwalking...
And a lot of other people don't make the statements to you that they should. That they should encourage people. People need to know that if you want a really good education, you can get it no matter what your financial station in life is. You can get it. And, part of what gave me confidence and drive was what was happening. I was doing good in school. And I said to myself, wow, I can do this. And so by getting into the education itself helps to give you confidence. And I certainly got a lot of confidence from the time that I was in community college and in Amherst College. I didn't need more confidence to go to Harvard. I already had it.
Well, Dawn, you've been given some extraordinary breaks in this life, but you notice certain breaks and you seize the moment. There's something very unique about you. For instance, you live in a building right now. I can't believe the building that you live in. It's fabulous. Everything is designed that it's so like perfect for you. You live in the first floor, you live in the first apartment. I mean, everything in your life, your book. I just said, well, how's that possible? How did that happen to him? You have been in the right place at the right time for so many situations.
Well, that's spiritual. That's things working out for me. In the time I went through community college in Amherst and Harvard Law School, there was 1,000 times that something needed to happen to allow me to continue. And it always happened. And I don't think of myself as causing it to happen. I think the good Lord made it happen. And you can't even talk me out of that statement, because there's no way I did it myself.
Well,
People made it possible for me without even knowing it, that they were making it possible.
I don't want to talk you out of it, but it sounds like that you have made a lot of deposits into your good karma bank. So when it was time for you to make a withdrawal, these opportunities were there.
Well, that's all humankind.
Yes, which
All
brings
humankind has made a lot of deposits. And in spite of being down and out of work now, they don't have to stay down and out. If they do, that's their fault, because there's a whole world out there for everybody. And we all have a brain that can get us to the age that you need to experience this kind of education and outpouring of opportunities and so forth. And there's I've been asked many times, what's a simple way of looking at it all? And I would ask your viewers to write this down. RTW plus R plus the letter U equals S/A. And what this means is, it's my philosophy of how you do it. Read, RTW is for read, think, and write. If you can read, it makes you think, and it makes you be able to write, because all you have to do is write what you would say. And U is you. And R is respect. Respect everybody you come in contact with. And if you can't respect them, walk away. Just respect everybody you come in contact with. And it all equals self-actualization. And if your listeners don't know what self-actualization means, look it up today. It's about living life your own way. And in order to self-actualize, to live your life your own way, you must read, think, and write. Reading is the most important activity we ever get active in. And writing, thinking and writing comes from reading. And respect is the most important word in the world. Respect everybody. And you're the most important person in the world, and you can do anything. And self-actualization is the most important goal in the world. So if you read, think, and write, and you respect everybody, and you recognize the power of you can self-actualize. That means you're living the life that you want to live, whatever it is that you want to live, whatever you want to do. And living off the government is not something anybody wants to do.
You're right. We don't want to become dependent on anyone except ourselves.
Right. That's right. But all these people that are out of work because of the pandemic are in a different boat now, and they don't know where the boat's going. They don't know if the boat's going to sink. They don't know where the next rent check is going to come from, and they don't know anything. So take advantage of this lax time in your life to go start getting an education. And, when you figure it out, you can stop living for 7 or 8 years and get all the education you want. That's what I did. I decided to devote 8 years of my life. It was 2 years at community college, 3 years at Amherst College, and 3 years at Harvard Law School. It was 8 years of my life. And I knew that I was taking it out of my life to be able to have an education and choose to self-actualize. It's as simple as that.
So Dawn, if somebody wants to start searching on the internet where they can take courses, because we are not meeting, a lot of people are not meeting in groups these days, where do they start? What do they start looking for?
Community college.
Community college. So go online, go to community college. Then what do they search
and
for?
Look for all liberal arts courses.
Because
it won't do you any good to take something that's non-liberal arts, because it doesn't count at the good colleges.
Why is that?
It doesn't count at all.
Why is that?
Because probably half the courses are in community college are for professions, like auto mechanic or, court secretary or legal, paralegal and stuff like that. But if you take liberal arts courses, they are transferable to a 4-year institution.
Oh.
And especially the good ones. Now, you might go to 2 years of community college and fill your course bucket with half of the courses that aren't transferable to a really good college, but are transferable to a not so great college. But that doesn't work. If you want to go to college free and you want to be paid to go to college, shoot for the really good colleges with all A's and tough courses. English, languages, math, higher than calculus, history, art history, stuff like that. Don't take any professional courses, because it doesn't fit if you're trying to do what I'm talking about. If you're trying to get an education and you want to go to a school that can afford to pay you to go to school, then you need to get all A's.
Okay, so community college, liberal arts, because they're transferable to any institution. What's the next step?
Start taking courses, however many you can handle. It's best if you take 5 courses each semester and do 10 courses in 2 semesters. And that gives the college that you're applying to the notice that you're up to it. You are up to their level of work and rigor.
Oh,
because you get all A's.
You could take the challenge.
Yeah, but don't take a course at a time and expect at the end of 5 years, when you got 20 courses completed, don't expect to get in on that record. You got to get in on a record of 5 courses in the fall semester, 5 courses in the spring semester, and work your ass off and get all A's.
Okay.
That's the recipe to go into a really good school.
This is it.
It's also the recipe for high school kids and even junior high school kids. If you're a junior high student and you realize you want to go, your parents can't afford to pay for you to go to college, work hard and get all A's all the way through high school, and then you can go to a place like that.
Get all A's when you start off in life. Forget about high school. When you go to preschool, first grade,
unfortunately, we're talking about people who are unemployed now, and they're not typically in high school or junior high school. So it makes sense to start going to college. Use this downtime in our economy to go to college, because college can make a big difference in the other end of your life and the choices that you have. If you're a laid off waitress from a restaurant, what choices are you going to have in 4 or 5 years if you don't get an education? Going back to a restaurant job? Not that there's anything wrong with a restaurant job, but if you wanted to be a nurse, or if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, or whatever you want to be, an education is the way to get there. And when you get that highfalutin education, it tells people that there's something different between you and the other candidates. When you have a transcript from your college, whether it be community college or Amherst College or law school, when you have a transcript of all good grades, you look a lot different to the person reading resumes than the person who had all C's. And I can tell you from having read 1,000 resumes or more, thousands of resumes in my lifetime, that I don't pay any attention to people that get C's.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
I pay attention to people who were at the top of their class, because that's who we hire for really good jobs. So that's who you take when you're a Harvard Law School and you're looking out at a crop of students, like 10,000 students. Who do you take? The people who got really good grades.
The cream of the crop.
Because that's a separation.
I got it.
And everybody is able to be the cream of the crop.
I love it. So, Dawn, we're going to wrap it up. Any final words for our viewers and listeners?
Have people who are encouraged to reach out to me online.
And how do they do that?
My email is donaldloringbrown@gmail.com. It's Donald Loring, Loring, Brown, all one word, @gmail.com.
You heard it here, folks.
Anybody may reach out to me. Who's encouraged to do it.
You're going to be getting a lot of emails.
That's all right. I'm always game to advise somebody that wants to take the plunge.
You are terrific. Dawn, author of The Morphine Dream, Jumpstart Your Life with Dawn Brown. Dawn, you have a lot of wisdom. I enjoyed speaking to you tonight, and this hour went by fast.
It did.
We have many more topics to explore. So until then, folks, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dead Air Live and podcast Somerville Connects. Bye for now, and thank you, Dawn Loring Brown.
You're welcome.
Somerville Connects. Somerville Connects.